Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. As always, make sure you are subscribed. You can either hit the little subscribe bar down below the video or right here in the video. There's a little icon down there that you can click on. Make sure you're also getting notifications, like, comment, and share. This one I want you to share, but for more of a personal reason. And I want to start off with this. In the original video that I put out, um, detailing the start of my exploration into exactly what happened with me in my career with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office at the hands of Sheriff Kevin Torgerson and Chief Deputy Brian Howard, and really through the county, and also mostly by the prompting of people like the Albert Lee City Attorney Kelly Dunn Martinez, and the collusion of uh, Director of Public Safety and Chief of Police J.D. Carlson and Albert Lee, who really kind of got the ball rolling on this being a major attack. In that video, uh, although it was a couple of brief moments, my emotions got the better of me, and I used some language and some vernacular that I'm not proud of. I'm not going to edit it out. I'm not going to take the video down and do it over again, um, because it was raw and it was real, and I wanted people to see it, and I dreaded it putting it up, but it's where I was at, and I want people to understand that I'm not proud of it. And that ties into one of the other two topics I want to talk about. Throughout the course of the Minnesota Black Robe Regiment channel, I have said some things, and sometimes even um, indicated some things that would detract from my testimony as a Christian. But guess what? So have you if you're a Christian. And this is not directed at any one person, because it's been several people who have said, well, you're not very Christ-like. And obviously, for the most part, the comparison in that situation is I'm not Christ-like because they've determined that I'm not Christ-like compared to their walk with Christ. And I had a very recent episode or incident that to me is water under the bridge. But it is indicative to me that, one, there are moments that I'm failing. And if there's anybody out there who can say that they're not, then I don't want to call you a brother or sister in Christ, because you're a liar if you think you're nailing it, and that there's nothing in your life that um, would hinder your testimony if people knew about it. Now, there again, I'm not proud of those moments where I fail, but ultimately, the issue that I have is that people will say, well, being Christ-like means you have to be nice like Christ was nice. And I've gone into this before, and I'm not going to belabor it here. Jesus wasn't nice. In the original meaning of the word, the etymology of the word nice, it was indicative of something that was worthless and good for nothing. And that wasn't Jesus. Now, if you're going to use the word nice the way we use it in modern vernacular, Jesus still wasn't nice. Jesus was hard. He was hard. He was a hard man. He was an unattractive man. The scriptures say that he was without any countenance or form that people would uh, take note of him in that sense of how attractive he was. But he was a hard man. He was a Nazarene, and he was a carpenter's son in the earthly sense, and he had personality, and he also understood righteous anger. And I can't imagine how the people in the temple felt the first time that he came in with a whip that a scourge that he made with his own hands, that he fashioned out of leather with a handle, and had rocks and broken shards of pottery and nails and whatnot in it. As he came into that temple, shouting at them and calling them thieves, and having turned the temple the entrance to the temple, into a den of thieves, dishonoring the Father in heaven. That's not nice, Jesus. They definitely didn't think he was nice and pleasant as he was flipping over tables that were low to the ground, like on the ground, with his with one hand, mind you, more than likely, because he had the whip in the other, and flipping over their tables, these heavy, heavy, long wooden tables, and whipping the money changers with a scourge, hitting them with a scourge. He wasn't chasing the animals out of the temple. He was chasing people out of the temple with the scourge. And he did that twice. He told people who were misleading the little ones, who were hurting the little ones. Should we think most of the school boards in the state of Minnesota right now, that it would be better for them to have a millstone hung around their neck and that they would be cast into the depths of the sea. In other words, it would be better for them to be executed than to keep going. Is that the Jesus you serve? Is it? Is that the Jesus you serve? Are you trying to be Christ-like in that fashion? Romans 8 tells that we're supposed to be molded and shaped, conformed into the image of Christ through the things that come into our life that shape us, both the good and the bad. 8:28 says, "For all things work to the good of those who are the called and love God according to his purposes." All. So all the hard things, all the good things, all the mediocre things, all the neutral things, all of that stuff comes into our lives to help us be molded and shaped into the image of his son because we're predestined for that. And being molded and shaped in the image of the Son means that we take on the vestige of who he is in all areas. And striving for righteousness, there are going to be moments where we're angry, where we're going to be gentle, where we're going to be gracious, where we're going to be merciful. There's going to be moments where we're righteously indignant. There are going to be moments where we're righteously displaying the wrath of a hatred for those things that are unholy. And one of those things is injustice. One of those things is standing before elected and appointed servants who are not doing what God has appointed them to do, according to Romans 13 and 1 Peter 2, and calling them out for it. And it might mean being hard on them, it might mean being confrontational towards them. You have to understand that. Christians, if you're in this fight, which you should be, if you're in this fight for justice, biblical reality of what justice is, which is what our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and so much of what this country is founded on was the biblical ideas of justice and liberty and freedom. If you're in this fight, there's going to be a moment for you where you're going to have to be that confrontational Jesus if you're really being molded and shaped into his image. And if you're not being molded and shaped into his image, are you a Christian? And if you can't be confrontational and sometimes say hard things like calling people a brood of vipers whose mouths are full of poison, or telling them that they're whitewashed tombs full of dead men's bones, which was a horrible insult. That was a horrible insult. That was not like, hey, you're just a whitewashed tomb full of dead man's bones, buddy. No, it was an insult because it had a very deep impact on the religious types of the day. And religion is a beautiful thing. Christianity is a religion. It is not a relationship. It is a religion. And rest assured, every single person alive has a religion with Christ, or a relationship with Christ. Every person alive has a relationship with him. Some of us have positive relationships through the shed blood of Christ, and others of us have a negative relationship, a hostile relationship with God, with Christ, because we are his enemies and we are totally depraved and we are wicked, rotten people in need of repentance. So there is no such thing as, oh, it's a religion, it's a relationship over religion. No, Christianity is a religion. And God in his word, and James 2 tells us this is good and pure religion, right? But if you're being molded and shaped into the image of Christ, and you are a patriotic constitutionalist and a Christian, chiefly a Christian, there are things that should make you angry, that should make you confrontational. And if you can't handle that, then you need to ask yourself why you're in the fight, or even if you are in the fight. And this isn't directed at one single person. This is directed at a plethora of people out there who are demanding that we be nice and soft and tender and 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 that we have a way where we can change this by being passive. You can't. You can't. And you can be a prayer warrior, but part of being a prayer warrior is also understanding that as you're praying, you take action. And sometimes it's going to be confrontational because Jesus was also confrontational. And I want to be molded into his image in more than one way. I want to be molded into his image in all ways. Now, the last thing I'm going to address, and I'm not going to talk about this anymore, I'm done, is there are people, especially a couple of people in southeast Minnesota, particularly in Rochester, who have been running around telling everybody that I'm a FBI informant, that I'm a snitch, that I am setting people up to get them arrested, that I'm encouraging people to take on acts of civil disobedience so we can so that we can be arrested, so and that I'm framing them for this, and it's yada 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 on and on and on. It's just over and over and over again that I'm a fake, that I'm a poser, and I don't know why they're doing this. I honestly don't know. And in the case of a couple of them, I'm relatively certain that it probably comes from at least a very deep-seated place of hatred and envy. Um, there could be some chemical and alcohol dependency issues that are causing these people to just vomit out unfounded accusations, because if they had the proof that it'd be out there, so they're just spewing this. I also think there's probably some psychological issues that are causing these people to pick on the vocal person, and in at least one situation, um, one of these people is facing their own fight, and I don't begrudge them that, and I'm sure it's hard, and it's probably a lot easier to lash out at somebody else than dealing with your own situation, and I'm over it. I'm like, we're not friends. We're never gonna be friends. You're not an ally of mine, and I don't care if you run around trying to ruin me. Like, trust me, there are far worse things about me in my past than you spreading rumors about me. And if you think I'm bad now, you should have seen me before Jesus. And so you know who you are. If you think that you're a patriot because you can put a burqa on and show up at a school board meeting, then somehow that makes you um, a hero, fi- more power to you, bro. Um, but that's not the way we need to fight this fight. If that's you not being, you know, a sellout, good for you. I'm going to continue to fight the way I fight. You fight the way you fight. And I pray that you're successful, but keep my name out of your mouth. And I won't talk about you because, quite frankly, I'm just going to be honest with you. You're beneath me. And I know that sounds really arrogant, but it's not. You're just beneath me. It's not worth my time. And so if you out there and you're hearing these rumors, come to me. Come talk to me, confront me to my face if you have to. If you see me in an event, if you see me somewhere, come confront me to my face. Have the patriotic moxie to say something to me personally instead of believing rumors of a couple of upset people who have nothing better to do with their time than to sit at home and spew lies. And I'll meet with you. I'll sit down with you with a mediator or moderator if you want. I'll do that. But this is the last I'm going to talk about it, and I'm done. World War II, as the flying fortresses were flying over Europe, especially into Germany, their fighter escorts would peel off because they would come into flak fields, anti-aircraft fields, and the fighters couldn't handle that, and they had to fly cover for the flying fortresses, the bombers, but they had to peel off, and the bombers could handle the flak. Now they eventually could get taken down, and it happened a lot. But they were also safe because the Germans weren't flying their own fighters into the flak fields. because they would, be victims of their own anti-aircraft. And what the commanders of the Army Air Corps would tell them at that time was, "You'll know you're over the target when you're taking flak." If you're taking flak like I'm taking flak, if you're taking flak in the same way that others are, you're over the target. And the enemy is going to use people who appear to be on the inside to come after us. And by the enemy, I don't mean just the forces of darkness that flee in the light, but I mean, like, literally the earthly enemy is going to try to subvert what we're doing. And fine, I don't care anymore. And so once again, if you hear this and you see that I'm taking flak, ask yourself, if you've met me personally and watched any of my stuff, do you really think I'm lying about all of this? Do you really think this is all a show? It's all a sham? I'm really close to 1,000 subscribers, so if we can get us there, because TC doesn't have a job right now, so maybe I can start making some money through video content. That's not going to happen. We'll give it a shot. But excuse me, real close. I'm like 220 away, I think, at this point, 225 away from 1,000 subs on YouTube. So if you could help push me up, my birthday's at the end of September. So if you want to push it out there, that'd be great. I'd like that. And once again, if you got a beef with me, talk to me to my face. Call me if you have my number. Message me if you're on Facebook with me. Look for me at an event. Come up and talk to me. Talk to me. I will talk to you. I will hash this out with you. But after today, if you don't have the tenacity and the guts to talk to me to my face, it says everything I need to know about you. And if you won't answer questions that other people ask you about what you're saying about me, other than to accuse them of being part of the whole conspiracy to take you out, that says all we need to know about you. Once again, constitutionalists, patriots, conservatives here in the state of Minnesota and across the United States, across the world, if you're over the target, you will be taking flak. Watch out for it. And until next time, Sic Semper, Tyrannis.